My fiancé forgot to end the call and I overheard a heartbreaking conversation with his family that changed everything before our wedding. I'm 26 years old, and I was supposed to get married last week. But it didn't happen, because I ran away the night before the wedding. I was engaged to Ryan, also 26, for 6 months, and we'd been in a relationship for 3 years. Ryan and I have twin boys together, who just turned 1. They weren't planned, and in the beginning, Ryan was very against me having them. But I was firm. I told him I would be keeping the pregnancy, with or without him. I gave him the option to leave. I didn't even demand child support. I believed I could raise them on my own. I've always had a strong maternal instinct, and for me, the timing felt right. I was ready to be a mom. Ryan, on the other hand, needed time to come around. Or so he said when I told him I'd leave if he kept pushing me to terminate the pregnancy. Only after that ultimatum did he seem to come around. He was a good partner throughout the pregnancy, and seemed like a great father after their birth. We hadn't expected twins, and honestly, I might not have managed that alone, so I felt lucky he stayed. After our sons were born, Ryan did everything a father should. 6 months later, he proposed, and I said yes. It was like that earlier conflict, when he didn't want to be a dad, had never happened. He made it so easy to believe it had all been a misunderstanding. I softened. I forgave him. I was ready to be his wife. After all, we'd already been together for 3 years, and we had children. It felt like the natural next step. We planned the wedding for months. I was genuinely happy. My parents were thrilled too. They liked Ryan a lot. He was the perfect guy. Or so we thought, but the night before the wedding, everything fell apart. It's hard to believe one phone call could ruin 3 years of love and effort. But I guess that call also saved me from a terrible marriage. As is tradition, we were staying separately the day before the wedding. I stayed at our home, and Ryan was at his parents' place, just a few blocks away. After dinner, Ryan called me. He said he loved me and couldn't wait to marry me. His voice made me tear up. We had a sweet moment and said goodnight. I waited for him to hang up, but he didn't. He must have forgotten to hit the screen properly. It's something he often did. I stayed on the line out of curiosity, because I heard his dad ask, "Were you talking to her?" Ryan said yes, but his voice sounded off. Distant. Resigned. I felt my stomach knot. Then his dad asked if he still felt the same way he did 2 days ago. Ryan said yes. Then his mother chimed in. She told him that it didn't matter how he felt, he needed to go through with the wedding. Ryan got defensive. He said he wasn't a puppet, and wouldn't be pushed around. That's when his dad calmly told him, "We're not forcing you to marry someone you don't love. But we can cut you out of the will. The choice is yours." His mom added that being a father meant it was time to grow up. Sure, it was bad enough that he'd had children outside of marriage, but he could still fix that by marrying me. No more stalling. No more excuses. If you're old enough to have kids, you're old enough to commit, she said. Ryan snapped. He said he was being coerced. That he was nowhere near ready to get married, but was doing it to avoid being disowned. He said no one ever cared whether he was ready for things. That I didn't care when I decided to keep the babies. That his parents didn't care either. Everyone just kept pushing him into things he wasn't prepared for. He said the thought of kids had terrified him, but he stayed because he had no choice. And now, again, he was being pushed into a marriage he didn't want. He stormed off. I guess he left his phone behind. I stayed on the line long enough to hear his parents complain about how irresponsible he was being. Then I hung up. I was stunned. The man I was going to marry, who I thought had chosen me, chosen us, was being forced. Not by love. Not by commitment. But by money and pressure. It broke me. The whole past year, everything he'd done, every kind word, suddenly felt like a lie. but I didn't cry right away. I packed my kids into the car and drove to a hotel out of town. By the time we got there, it was late. The twins were fussy. I got them to sleep, then blocked Ryan and his entire family from my phone. I texted my friends and family, the wedding is off. I'll explain later. I didn't offer any more details. I cried through the night. I'd never felt so betrayed. Around 4 a.m., I finally fell asleep. Ryan's family had covered all the wedding costs. They were wealthy, so I didn't feel bad about the wasted money. Let them deal with it. This was their show. After all. I made it clear to my friends and family not to contact Ryan or his people. I didn't want any engagement with them. I knew my circle would respect that. I spent what should have been my wedding day alone in the hotel room with my boys, eating my feelings and trying to smile for their sake. They were the only ones I wanted around. The next day, I dropped the twins at my parents' and went back to the house to pack. And there he was, Ryan. Waiting. He looked like he hadn't slept. He said he was worried sick about me. But I didn't know how much of that was real, and how much of it was just an act. He asked where I'd been. He told me I was being dramatic. That cold feet weren't an excuse to humiliate him and his family. He said I owed them all an explanation, and a public apology. I didn't say much. I just told Ryan I'd overheard the conversation he had with his parents. At first, he looked confused. But then, as the realization hit, he had the good sense to look ashamed. I didn't bother explaining or saying anything more. After that, I walked into the house while he waited in the yard. I collected the essentials and left without another word. I had nothing to say to him. He did what he thought was right, and now, I was doing what I believed was right. I wasn't even interested in being anyone's wife anymore. I just wanted to be a mother, and a good one. That was almost a week ago. We hadn't spoken since, so I assumed it was over, but a few hours ago, Ryan showed up at my parents' house, begging to speak to me. Why now? I'd told my parents everything. All my close friends knew too. Naturally, they were skeptical about letting him in. But I agreed to talk to him, one last time. I didn't want to let him inside. The babies had just fallen asleep, and the last thing I needed was raised voices waking them up. So, we spoke outside in the yard. Ryan apologized for everything. He said he loved me, even though he wasn't ready for marriage. He said he loved the kids too, and that, despite what he'd said that night, he still wanted to be part of their lives. I didn't know how to respond. Could I trust someone who had been lying to me for almost a year? It was natural for me to have doubts. Still, I told him I'd think about what we should do next. Ryan said he didn't want to break up. He wanted to try again, without his parents' interference. I was torn. I wanted my children to have a relationship with their father. But I didn't trust him. For myself, I needed a break. The past week had been chaotic in the worst way. I started to wonder, what if I didn't give our relationship another chance? Hey guys. I know it's been a while. I've been busy with work, the kids, and moving out. I haven't had time to update you all. The support you've given me has been overwhelming. I'm truly grateful for the love and advice I've received. It's helped me more than I can say. Yes, I've spoken to a lawyer. I want full custody of my kids. I've decided I'm not getting back with Ryan. Some people sent hateful messages, accusing me of being a selfish mother, for considering getting back with him. That was both cruel and ignorant. I'm a mother, but I'm also human. It had only been a week since everything happened. We were together for 3 years. Of course, I hadn't fully moved on. I really did love him. My emotions clouded my judgment. But now, I feel more stable. I know I need to put my children and myself first. So no, I can't go back. The hate and judgment were uncalled for. But this is the internet, So I suppose I should have expected it. I started looking for a lawyer 2 days after I called off the wedding. It just took time to find someone I trusted. Ryan and I had never talked about custody before. We didn't think this day would come. But now that we're done, it's time to protect myself and my boys. I'm sure Ryan doesn't want custody. But I can't say the same for his parents. They're very conservative, old school, and I know they won't take kindly to their son losing custody of his kids. I'm sure they'll do everything they can to fight it. I'm just preparing myself. The last time I spoke to Ryan was 3 days ago. He hasn't contacted me since. That says everything. Whatever he said about wanting to make it work was empty. If he meant it, he would have checked in. But he didn't. I know now. I'm making the right decision. There's no trust left. And I'm not going to be with a man who doesn't truly want to be with me. This is for the best. I plan to tell him my decision soon. I just hope he doesn't react badly to the custody arrangement. That's the last thing I need. I finally told Ryan I wasn't getting back with him, and that I was filing for full custody. I expected him to be fine with it. After all, he admitted he wasn't ready for marriage or kids. You'd think he'd be relieved I wasn't forcing him into anything, but he didn't take it well. He argued. Said I could break up with him, but I couldn't take his kids away. That would have made sense if we had a normal relationship. But we didn't. As you all know, Ryan never wanted kids in the first place. Up until a week ago, he still wasn't ready to be a father. Now, suddenly, he wanted custody. It felt suspicious. I knew his parents were pulling the string. Again, Ryan was panicking during the argument. We were in a restaurant, and I was trying to calm him down. I was so embarrassed by the scene he was making. Eventually, he calmed down. I tried reasoning with him. I couldn't afford a long custody battle, emotionally or financially. His parents could hire the best lawyers. Even if I had the moral upper hand, they could drag this out for years. I told him, you didn't want kids. You've said that all year. Let me raise them. Go live your life, no marriage, no fatherhood. That's what you wanted. But then he said he'd changed his mind. That now, he was ready. I didn't buy it. It didn't add up. You don't go from, I'm not ready to be a dad, to, I want full custody, in 7 days. So I asked him directly, is there something you're not telling me? And he admitted it. After I called off the wedding, he told his parents everything. They accepted that marriage was off the table. But they wouldn't let him lose custody of their grandchildren. They threatened to cut him off, again, if he didn't convince me to agree to joint custody. He was begging me to accept joint custody. At that point, I was disgusted. Once again, he was dancing to his parents' tune. I had given him an easy way out. He didn't want to be a dad. He didn't want to marry me. But he did want their money. That's what this was about. And if that's all he cared about, I didn't want him near our kids. They deserve better. I didn't even want child support. I wanted nothing to do with him anymore. He didn't have a spine. He was willing to do anything to avoid being cut off. And that was just pathetic. It's been a few days since that meeting. I've blocked him again. I don't want to talk to him or see him. The last message he sent. He offered to agree to joint custody and split his future inheritance with me. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Seriously, I guess that's what I get for falling for a spoiled rich kid. I'm a self-made woman. I've worked hard for everything. My parents weren't rich. I paid my own way through college with scholarships and part-time jobs. Ryan, on the other hand, was the only son of ultra-wealthy parents. I don't think I need to explain more. I thought he changed once he got with me. He convinced me he had. I was wrong. He's just a brilliant actor. He fooled me for 3 whole years, but I see him clearly now. And I don't want to stick around to learn more. I'm done. I'm okay raising my kids alone. No father is better than one who doesn't want to be a father, now. I'm 100% sure I made the right decision. I pray he eventually agrees to terminate his parental rights, instead of turning this into a battle. I'll keep praying. Some good news, finally. It's been a while, I've been busy. But my babies and I have moved into a smaller apartment. It's not fancy, but it's ours. Not some mansion owned by Ryan's family. It's close to my parents' place, so they visit often to help. I've also hired a nanny, thanks to some financial support from my parents. I'm incredibly grateful. They didn't see this coming either, but they've stood by me every step. Now for what everyone's probably wondering. Ryan. He signed away his parental rights. I don't know what changed. Maybe he finally stood up to his parents. Or maybe they just gave up. A friend told me he moved out of their house, so I'm guessing it's the former. He apologized again a few days ago. Said he wanted to give me money as compensation. I said no. I know some people will say that was dumb. But I meant it when I said I wanted nothing from him, not even money. I forgave him. But forgiveness doesn't mean I have to accept handouts. My parents and I can raise the boys just fine on our own. I texted Ryan to say thanks, but please don't contact me again, and he's respected that so far. Right now, I'm focused on my children. On giving them the best life I can. No sadness. No more anger, just motherhood and peace. That's it. And as I sit here now, watching my boys sleep peacefully, I realize something I never thought I'd feel again so soon. Peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from a perfect life, or a perfect partner, but the kind that blooms quietly in the aftermath of chaos. The kind that comes when you choose yourself, even when it's hard. When you walk away, not because you're bitter, but because you're brave enough to believe in better. I may not have the fairytale I imagined, but I have something far more powerful. Truth, freedom, and the fierce love of two little souls who remind me every single day what real purpose looks like. This isn't the life I planned, but maybe it's the one I was meant to live, and in this new chapter, just me and my sons. I am not lost. I am becoming.